Hello, everybody. I'm so sorry. My internet is incredibly slow. My husband was trying to fix it. And you can't fix this stuff overnight. But my internet has been slow for a while. We had like a power outage last week, and they were like working on fixing things. But our router, I hope I'm using the right term, went during that time. So we're in the middle of like trying to buy new equipment. Again, this is not my area. Like, I don't know anything about this, like, router situation. It's not my area. This is my area. And hey, Kelsey, how are you? Kelsey, I still have you on the list. I will be, I've got you on the list still for the 2nd. Is that correct? That you're having surgery? Like, making sure that I'm trying to make sure that I get the candle lit for you. We're going in a good direction. Then I also have, I wanted to add to that, anybody out there that is watching on La Hermosa Bruja, the beautiful witch, make sure you guys are sending her some really good energy because she's in the middle of moving this crazy time. So make sure you send out some good energy there. If you have received any packages from me recently, I was packing up packages for people that have won some of the giveaway stuff. I haven't finished them. So if the people are not responding to me, I'm going on to the next person. And I lost a fingernail. Don't laugh. I lost a fingernail in one of these packages, I think, because I can't find old girl. She's around here somewhere. So I hope it doesn't gross any of you out if you're getting a package from me. I'm so sorry about that. But the fingernails, they just fall off at will. It's crazy. Okay. I know, it is kind of funny. It's crazy, isn't it? Okay. So let's talk about some astrology stuff. I am loving that. That's okay, Kelsey, because you comment on this video. So it's okay. You comment like frequently. It's okay. So I want to talk about some astrology stuff. I want to talk about, because here's some examples I'm going to give you guys, okay? So example, like, because you can't compare, like, two, like two Virgos. Hey, Amber Melanie, how are you? You can't compare a Virgo man and a Virgo woman. Like, you can't necessarily compare that because we don't know like all their stuff. But you definitely can't compare because Virgo males are very different than Virgo females. I can tell you that for sure because there is so many Virgos in my family. I mean, it's ridiculous. So, but you can't compare people in that kind of situation, and I want to tell you why. So I'm going to give you two examples. One is two Capricorn men that were born like in the early part of January. So, Capricorns, if they were born closer to the Sagittarius, they have a little more Sag in them than they do Capricorn. Right in the center, they're 100% Capricorn. If they were born more towards the end of Capricorn, they have a little bit more Aquarius in them, right? So we're talking about two Capricorn men that were born at the very first part of January. Very different, okay? Similar but different. So we have we have two Capricorn men, equally stubborn, right? Probably very smart. Yeah, I'm Capricorn rising. I got to say that. So, let's say intelligent on some level, very stubborn, but how they behave, they have the same skeleton, they have the same bone structure, but they behave very differently. How, where is their emotion? How is this tied in? Because what I've seen with these two very different Capricorn men that were born like just days apart from each other is one being incredibly and strictly fair, like to the point where it's just like, no, we do this for this person, we have to do it for this person, we're going to be fair about this. And the other one just being a complete not fair and completely missing the point and blind to real things that are going around, like who's taking care of him, what's going on. Where the other Capricorn is very aware of things. He's like, oh, this person did something nice for me. Let me reach out to them with a gift. Let me reciprocate. Let me do something that's fair. Do you see what I'm saying? Very, very different. Then I knew this man. This was kind of funny. He married at obviously two different times. He married two Virgo women, and their birthdays were just days apart. So they were both more to the early part of Virgo. I had a little bit more of that Leo energy in them. So very, very similar, you would think, very similar energies. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. This man married this Virgo woman. He was head over heels in love, started a family, had all of this. She was incredibly selfish. She was very, promiscuous, let's say. So you would think that he would want to stay away from Virgo women. Well, the next woman that he, really fell hard for and ended up marrying was a Virgo woman. Very different energy. Because this one, loyal to a T, right? She's like, no, we're not doing all that. But very different energies. Same, structure. But it's the soup around it, and it's all the stuff going on around it that really determines who they are or what they have to overcome. And for me, when you see that in somebody's chart and you see what you have to overcome and how different two Capricorn men can be and how different two Virgo women can be, that is incredible. It's just incredibly different. And it's all the soup around it. It's all the things that's going on around it. What's their ascendant? What's their moon? Where's their Saturn at? Where's their midheaven, north node? Those are the things that I look at in somebody's chart to say, hey, this is a fantastic Capricorn man. And I have a Capricorn ascendant. One of my dads is a Capricorn. So, we went head to head for years. Oh, what am I saying? We still probably do. 30, 40 years in, 40 years, oh my gosh, 40 years in, I'm still going head to head with this man because I have Capricorn ascendant. It's insane. But then you see, those kind of people, but when I look at somebody's chart, I can see, oh, this is a very different energy than maybe what you're used to. If you avoid somebody with an Aries moon like the plague, okay, I get you. I've been there. But look at the rest of the stuff in their chart to determine, is this a good Capricorn or is this an asshole Capricorn? We all have that choice, right? Yeah, we all have that choice. But that's the great thing about looking at your chart to see, what is this that I need to work through? What is this that I need to overcome? Or what is this that I can like embody and embrace and just like, highlight even more, right? I like to highlight my Gemini moon. Okay, my other dad is a Gemini. A very weird perspective about me. But my other dad is a Gemini. I have a Gemini moon. I understand how he thinks. I don't get it. I don't always get it. But I understand some of the things that he thinks about. But that Gemini moon, because I have like these, Capricorn rising and Virgo sun, that's a lot of energy that could really bring me down. Oh my gosh. Can you imagine what kind of serious like nut job that I would be if I just focused on that? No, the Gemini moon gives me some fun. It's a little frivolity and all of that. And all that harshness of my Capricorn and Virgo. I mean, want to talk about picky? Yeah. And I'm not sorry about it. Okay, so I want to talk about some basic stuff first, because these are questions that I've had. I want to talk about the difference in a few different astrologies, okay? So originally, and you guys know, Virgo, Capricorn, I got notes. I got lots of notes here. So the astrology really started with like Chinese and Indian astrology. And so we have the Vedic astrology from India, the Indian astrology. We have the Chinese astrology that goes by the year that you were born. I love that. The Vedic astrology is complicated. I love it, but it's complicated, and there's a million of them. Okay, this is not bad. This is not bad, but there's a lot of them. There's way more than 12. Like I've written this down, but I've forgotten. There's just a lot, and it's very complicated. Is it interesting? Absolutely, 100%. It's really cool when you look up yours. Am I doing readings like this for all of my clients? No. That's a lot. That's a lot. I mean, right now, I'm just struggling with some of my clients that don't know the time they were born. And I'm like, okay, so how do I find out your ascendant? Because the ascendant changes every 2 hours. So there's that. So, but this is like, I mean, there's things that date back like 35,000 years that people were drawing in caves about celestial bodies. Always like looking at eclipses. There was always like an overthrow of a king or the death of a monarch during eclipse season. So that's what people thought of were eclipses, because there was always a threat to power structure. My Neptune is in Capricorn, Chiron is in Gemini, no Virgo. That's okay, Kelsey. You got a lot of Pisces, baby. It's all right. So, so what we typically use now is Western astrology. All right. We have Eastern and Western astrology. So typically what we do now is like the Western astrology is what we're looking at, what we use. Okay. The Hellenistic tradition was by the Greeks at about 150 BC. It's also called the traditional astrology. Okay. So let's take a look at some of the differences here. All right, because this is a lot. There's a lot. There's so much. So some of the differences here is the traditional astrology does not recognize Pluto, Uranus, or Neptune. Okay, they recognize the Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. That's it. The houses are not just like, they're not equal to the planets. The houses are just like, it's just the feeling around the houses. They're not typically ruled by something. Some traditional astrologers will say, oh, this house is ruled by whatever, but most of the time they just compartmentalize it and say the house is ruled by the house, like the 12th house is spirituality or confinement. Okay. Then we look at modern astrology. Okay. And this is where we are using like all the signs, of course, and the 12 signs, and then the houses that are ruled by those signs. So we start with the first house is ruled by Aries or Mars. Aries, Mars. Then the second house is ruled by Venus, which is Taurus. Third house is Mercury, Gemini. Do you see where I'm going with this? I'm sort of moving down the thing. Because in the modern astrology, we have the fourth house is Cancer, which is ruled by the moon. The fifth house is Leo, which is ruled by the sun. The sixth house is Virgo, which is ruled by Mercury. The seventh house is Libra, which is ruled by Venus. The eighth house is Scorpio, which is ruled by Mars. Wait. I thought that was supposed to be Pluto. It is. Sorry, that is supposed to be Pluto. Scorpio ruled by Pluto. Ninth house is Sagittarius, which is ruled by Jupiter. 10th house is Capricorn, which is ruled by Uranus. And Capricorn, which is ruled by Saturn. The 11th house, which is Aquarius, is ruled by Uranus. And the 12th house, which is Pisces, and ruled by Neptune. That is the modern astrology. So in the modern astrology, we have Mercury, which rules Gemini and Virgo, Venus, which rules Taurus and Libra, and then Pluto rules Scorpio, Neptune rules Pisces, Uranus rules Aquarius, Saturn rules Capricorn. In the traditional, Saturn rules Capricorn and Aquarius. Mars rules Scorpio and Aries. So, and hang on, I'll remember which rules Pisces. See, I have it written down in the wrong place. Why do I want to think it's Jupiter? But Pisces, it is, to me, that's a little bit of a, I think Neptune suits Pisces to a T, to be honest with you, 100%. So when we're looking at that, when we're looking at this, it's important to see what our sun, moon, and rising is, but our sun sign, our basic natal chart is just, it is just the skeleton. It is just the backbone. When we start having transits come along, when we start having things go across, like our midheaven, or crossing over our natal north node or our natal Saturn, things start happening, right? So I think we've talked about on here briefly, because we haven't talked too much about astrology. Sorry, I think my eyelash is like going off the rails. You know how I am about the eyelash. I mean, what's going on here? Can it not hang on for an hour? So I think we've talked about a little bit of astrology, because we've talked about our Saturn returns. So our first Saturn returns is between 28 and 32 when big things happen to us then. Our second Saturn returns is usually about 60, like somewhere in that neighborhood. And again, another significant change. My first Saturn return, and this is before I started studying astrology, happened at a time when I was just like really, really at a crossroads. I opened up a map, I closed my eyes, pointed to a state, and I started applying to schools there because that's how desperate I was just to change stuff up. I just needed a change so bad. And I just like picked up and moved across the country. So that was my first Saturn return. I'm really interested to see what happens, you know, on the next one. But I'm willing to like, you know, slow it down here. Not in a rush. I will say, to me, Saturn is where your Saturn is in your chart is a huge deal. It's a big deal. And I watch Saturn transits more than I do anything because I just think Saturn is a big deal. So how do you know when it is? Oh, this is good. Okay, so Kelsey, this is a good question. Look at, there's two places where I look at charts, all right? It's astro.com and Cafe Astrology. Hello, Suzanne. The Cafe Astrology has incredible details. Excuse me. Cafe Astrology has incredible details and lots of information, okay? I mean, boatloads of information. But I do not really care for the way that they do their charts. That's just my personal preference. I don't really care for it because like I get no real information here. All right. When I look at the chart by itself, I go to astro.com. Okay. I go to astro.com and I get a lot more information. I can't get, there it is. I get a lot more information. That's a personal preference, okay? If you just want the write-up, if you just want the details, go to Cafe Astrology because they will give you paragraphs on this stuff. It's incredible and it's free. They do have paid things that you can like get that you can pay for, but the free one has a boatload of information, okay? The astro.com, no write-up, nothing. It's just the chart. But I like it, and I like the charts there, which is something else I wanted to talk about. There's two different ways of looking at this. It's whole house astrology and split house astrology, okay? And this is the difference, all right? So this is what the split house astrology looks like. Sorry, I can't get it. There we go. This is what a split house like chart looks like. Do you see how the houses are in between? Like, see how it's in between signs? So we have Gemini going over like, I'm sorry, I'm trying to do this backwards. We have Gemini going over two houses. Down here we have Taurus going through two houses. We have Aries going through two houses. So there's a lot, you know, there's a lot of mixed stuff here. In the whole house, and you can get this on astro.com, this is a whole house astrology. So everything is just, it's just a little bit different. I do read some with whole house astrology because sometimes I just want to see the transits. So I usually have both printed, to be honest with you, for people. But I like to see the split houses because I like to see exactly where everything was when I was born. When I'm looking at a chart for a client, I like to see exactly where everything was when they were born. I like to see that snapshot of the skeleton of their chart. And I love this because, I was talking to one of my astrology friends today. She's an astrologer. She's fantastic. And we talked for like an hour and a half just dishing about astrology. I mean, and she was just like, I can't believe you've gotten this much into it. And I was like, me either. I can't stop taking these classes. Like, I love them. I just love them. They're just incredible. What I did taking all of these classes is because all of the houses that are given to you by the classes, they're all similar, but just a little bit different. And so I kept taking classes that would be, that the houses would be, the examples of the houses would be the same but different, just a little bit, a little bit different than one another. And so I decided to put my own together. Now, isn't that crazy? That's some crazy stuff. This is a crazy person here, but I'm really good at it, so I'm not sorry. So I put together like my own explanation, I guess you could say, of the houses. And it helps me to like go through this. How do you read without the exact time of birth? Alicia, I think that's what you're saying. Okay, this is a good question. Alicia says, for those of you that are on Facebook, and by the way, hey Alicia, those of you that are on Facebook, Alicia asked, how do you read without the exact time of birth? Okay, so there's several people in my family that don't even know their exact time of birth. So what I did was I sort of, because I know them, or at least I thought I did. There's people out there that just want to like keep their light under a bushel, right? The ascendant is how people see you. Your ascendant is how people see you. So I looked at, I kind of guessed, because your ascendant changes every couple of hours. That's why you need an exact time of birth. I kind of guessed at their ascendant based on what I know about them. It's how they come across to people. It's how they come across to the world. How people see them. And I understand that's how people see me, as like that Capricorn energy. And so I started looking at it like that. I tried to like dissect it like that. The astrologer friend that I was talking to earlier today, she uses 6 a.m. She uses 6 a.m. for everybody that she reads for if she doesn't have an exact time of birth. Another astrologer that got me into all this, yeah, I have lots of literature to show you. She uses 12 noon, unless they at least can say, I was born in late afternoon, or I was born in the evening or at night, or, unless they can kind of like give her like a roundabout thing. So with that, I think that it's very interesting to like plug in some time and see if that sort of resonates more, especially if you know them very well. I have family members who don't know their time. I know mine. Yeah. So like my mom and my aunt, I was asking them, I was like, I want to do your charts. What time were you born? And they were both like, I don't know. And if I'm not mistaken, because their dad was in the Navy, my grandfather was in the Navy, they were both born like on base, I think. So one would think that their birth certificates would be stamped, but they don't know their time of birth. So I tried to guess with them. It's not easy. It's not easy. Because my mom, Virgo, my aunt, Scorpio, and I'm like, they ain't telling me nothing. Trying to look at their ascendant, I'm just like, yeah, I plugged in like 15 different, I was just like, let's try this. just trying to come up with something that I thought like gelled. But I will tell you, like on astro.com, you can put that it's unknown, and you can at least get the houses, and you can get the moon. That's an important one. So I understand why one of my friends uses 6 a.m. because she's trying to see what it looks like with their moon in their ascendant. Yes, the time zone does matter. I mean, because on astro.com it asks you where, like what city they were born in. And some people, especially people that like have been adopted, they don't know. They don't know their time. I've tried to do numerology for someone who was adopted, and she wasn't even sure her exact date of birth. She goes, "This is the date that I used for everything." But honestly, she was born in another country. She was, like at an orphanage. And she said it was between these 3 days. This is what they told my parents when they adopted me. She said it was between these 3 days and they just weren't sure. So they just picked one. And I was like, okay, well, let's start there and work with all three. So that I did the numerology for all 3 days. I didn't even try to do her chart because I was like, oh my gosh, because everything changes. Within 3 days, everything can change. That being said, I've done charts for identical twins and fraternal twins. That's interesting. And that was something that I was talking about with my astrologer friend today, is that it's interesting to see how different the identical twins are with their charts. Like born 6 to 10 minutes apart, it changed everything. It changed their ascendant. It changed the placements in the houses. It changed everything. And I was like, I am stunned. So as very, very similar that they are, there were differences. Remember how I used the example of the 2 Capricorn men and the 2 Virgo women at the beginning? Those subtle differences make a huge, huge change in the flavor of the soup. Does that make sense? Hello, Mouse. And Mouse is joining us. It's good. There are some countries that say birthdays are either January 1st or June 1st. Really? That is interesting. So I will say that it has like that little nuance can have a huge effect on like how you think, how you embrace things, because we have some things that move quite quickly, right? Mercury, the moon, they move very fast. Some of the slower moving planets like Pluto moves like very, very slowly. That's going to be anchored in position, right? Saturn only moves every 2 years. That's going to be anchored. However, where is the moon in reference to Saturn? Where is the moon in reference to something like Pluto? These are the things that we're looking at. Is the things that move fast and the things that move slow. Very important. Hang on. I do have a separate cheat sheet that I use every single week. Here we go. Okay. All right. So how often these planets move? Just to give you an idea. So Mercury moves every 14 to 30 days. He changes signs every 14 to 30 days. All right. So it can take him as little as 14 days to go through a sign. It can be longer with retrograde. Okay. Venus can change signs every 23 days up to 2 months. So Venus could be in the same sign for up to 2 months, or it could move as quickly as 23 days. Mars, pretty stable at 2 months. Now, last year was a crazy year because Mars was in Gemini and Mars went retrograde in Gemini. Mars was in Gemini for 8 freaking months. That was a nightmare because Mars in Gemini is illuminating, showing things that are being hidden. Yeah, I got a lot of that and I did not enjoy it last year. I was like, I didn't realize people were hiding this from me and I did not like it. That was not a good flavor for me. Jupiter average moves signs every 12 to 13 years. So it takes Jupiter 12 years to go through all of the signs. Okay? I said 12 to 13 years. I meant 12 to 13 months. So Jupiter typically stays in the same sign for 12 to 13 months. So Jupiter takes 12 years to go through all of the signs. Saturn moves every 2 to 2.5 years. It takes Saturn 2 to 2.5 years to go through one sign. So 29 to 30 years average, it takes him to go through all of the signs. That's pretty lengthy, right? But there's more. Uranus, 7 years. He camps out in one sign for 7 years. So every 84 years, he goes through all of the signs. Neptune, 14 years. 14 years. So Neptune will take 164 years to go through all of the signs. And here's the big one, Pluto. Yeah, Pluto moves the slowest. 12 to 31 years, he can camp out in one sign. So the last time that Pluto was in Capricorn and Aquarius, which is where we are now, was during the American Revolution and the French Revolution. And look at those things. They never went back. They never went back. So we're essentially in Pluto return here in the United States. And the thing is, like, when Pluto was in Capricorn, the powers that be in this country were making a lot of changes. They were like, okay, look, if we can't get them to agree to this, we're going to go this way. If we can't get them to agree to this, we're going to go this way. And that's exactly what they did. They couldn't get England to agree to whatever demands or whatever what was going on. So they had all of this ready to pull the trigger on. They had the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, ready to go. They started the country like fighting through it in Capricorn and then making the plans happen in Aquarius. This is where we are right now because Pluto is getting ready to move into Aquarius in January of 2024. Pluto is going to be in Aquarius for the next 20 years. Mouse, please be careful. He's going to turn my stuff over. I'm waiting for that bookcase to fall. And you understand, I'm not going to be happy about that. So, this is how often the signs change. This is how often they move, and this is like the general information. So Pluto is really like kind of a generational thing. You can kind of see that, like when like there's a different switch. There's a definite switch where Pluto leaves. Like my Pluto is in Libra, I believe. Pretty sure. Yes, my Pluto is in 1 degree of Libra. So you can kind of see like a whole generation has Pluto in Libra, or a whole generation has Pluto in Virgo. You see what I'm saying? My boys were born 2 years apart. They have very similar, very different, but they have very similar placements of some of these larger planets. Really? Do you have to mess with my camera? I love him. He's so cute. So Pluto's in Scorpio for you, Kelsey? So let me get this straight, Kelsey. You've got Pluto and Saturn in Scorpio? That's interesting. That's very interesting. Like I said earlier, I am fascinated by Saturn. I like looking to see who, like, where Saturn is, who he's like communicating with. It's like a big deal. The other thing that I want to like point out to you guys, when you are looking at your chart, okay, when you are looking at your chart, the big conjunctions that you need to focus on are what is conjunct your ascendant, your sun, and your moon. Those also are a bit more. Most of the time, you're looking at 5 degrees. Like, are there planets that are in proximity to each other that are 5 degrees? Seriously, what is going on with my eyelash? You want to see like where they're placed within 5 degrees of each other. The sun, moon, and rising, you need to look at 10 degrees. So for me, I have North Node conjunct my ascendant. I have Moon and Saturn conjunct. And I have Mars conjunct my sun. I do like to argue. I'm quite good at it. So you want to look at those conjunctions, okay? Sun, moon, and rising. Within 10 degrees of your sun, moon, and your ascendant. The other planets, you want to see who's talking to each other. Look and see what is talking to each other within 5 degrees, okay? So that's a conjunction if it's within 5 degrees of each other. So if you have, like Kelsey, if you have both Pluto and Saturn in Scorpio, look and see how close they are together. That's very interesting. And I do love that. Because I have been looking, because in a couple of years, we're going to have North Node and Saturn cross each other. And this only happens every 10 to 12 years. And I started looking at like my history of when I had North Node and Saturn, what happened to me when they crossed. And what happened when Saturn and South Node, what was going on with me during those times? It was very illuminating. It was very illuminating. Again, Saturn is a major player. So, I don't know if any of you have seen my video on Reviewed at the Round Table, where I reviewed the Llewellyn calendars. The astrology calendars by Llewellyn. Man, let me tell you something. I live and breathe these things. These are so freaking awesome. They give it so much information. 57 and Pluto's. Okay. Kelsey, I'm dying to do your chart. Oh my gosh. I tell you this every week. I am dying to do your chart. Yeah. Okay, so back to this. Llewellyn. I am sure that there's other great astrology calendars out there. I am sure that there are. This is my preference. This is what I like. I live and breathe these Llewellyn astrology calendars. Okay? There's so much information in them. I love them. I look everything up. I need to see like the written down stuff. And part of the reason why I love them is because of this aspect part in the back of the calendar. I hope this is in focus. The aspect, it tells what happens when the sun and moon come together, the sun and Mars come together. It goes through every single planet and every single aspect that they have with each other. Okay? Whether they're conjunct, whether they're trine, whether they're in opposition of each other, whether they're quincunx. And I always mispronounce that. But, you know, what are you going to do? I'm a Southerner, so I'm going to mispronounce stuff. Whether they're in a square, all of those things have a play. And it's important to see how the transits, like what the planets are doing now, how that has an effect, or how that is affecting you and your natal chart, which is the skeleton of who you are. Okay? How are the transits affecting you? So one of the astrologers that I talked to, she was like, oh my gosh, I did not realize like how I had this major change with how I look because of a transit. She said I had physical changes to my body. I started losing weight. I wasn't even trying. I was like, I really want that. But she was saying how she was losing weight. She was making changes to her appearance because of where it was transiting. It was transiting in her first house. So very interesting stuff. I just bought that calendar and gave them as Christmas gifts, like you advised. Oh my God, they're great. They're fantastic. They're beautiful. I mean, seriously, these are beautiful pictures in here. And I mean, really gorgeous pictures, but man, chock full of information. I mean, how much am I loving that? And look, you can even see, I mean, I make notes. I have to have 2 of these calendars all the time, okay? I have one that I keep folded up that I make notes on. And then I have one hanging so that I can just, like, at a glance, like, look and see, like, what's going, I'm like, what's happening today? Today feels kind of weird. What's happening? I don't know. I have a coworker who stopped caring what others think when she turned 50. Doesn't know what flipped, but it did, and she hasn't looked back. Okay, I can tell you that. Because 50, the 5 is change. The 5 is change. And it becomes a little bit more like, I don't want to say frivolous, but it becomes just like what other people think. For me, I've just been like, I don't care. I don't care. I mean, I still have people sending me, like, somebody that I used to work with that started copying. I do a 5-card spread, on my weekly videos. The zodiac videos that I do for the new moon and the full moon. I do a 5-card spread. For years, she has done a 3-card spread, but they were like, sent me a copy of her video because I stopped following her. And they were like, she's copying you. She's doing a 5-card spread now. I was like, gun it up, Edna. At least she's watching. I mean, and I don't have a market on the 5-card spreads. They're in every single book. But it is funny. And I was just like, I don't care. Maybe I'll switch to a 3-card. I'm not doing that. But it is. It's just that you don't care anymore. And I'm like, For the longest time, I cared what other people thought. I mean, I cared about, like, yes, my appearance, but, I'm a Virgo, so I like to look a certain way. Now I'm dressing for me. Now I'm wearing the jewelry that I like. Now I'm wearing, like, the eyelashes that I like. And I'm just like, I'm good. I'm good. So, I know. And those are the people that I'm just like, oh, you want to make fun of me for having children in my 40s? Got something to say about that? And it makes it a lot easier for me to be a little, like, nice, nasty. You know what I'm saying? Maybe petty is a good word. I mean, I'm a spiritual woman here, but that don't mean that I've always been an angel. Let's not forget how I told all of y'all in my 20s and even a little bit into my 30s, total asshole. So, I can go back to that at any given moment. So, I mean, oh my gosh, I'm so much fun. But, you know, Kelsey, it's a nice ride. It's a nice ride, let me tell you. Okay, so, all right, so I talked to you about the traditional astrology, like some of the differences here, how it left out Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. And that's okay. If that's the way you want to go, that is 100%. Go for it. If you, if you do the modern astrology, which is what I do, I like to see everything. You know, I feel like Neptune fits Pisces to a T, and I can't imagine something else ruling Neptune. Just, just my choice. Yeah. Let me see. Was there something else I wanted to say? But it's very important when you look at your natal astrology. When you look at your natal chart, that is the first thing I pull for people. Okay. I do not do a progressed chart. I never have. I don't like them. It's not my thing. The astrologer I talked to today, she doesn't really care for them either. I like to look at the natal chart, and I like to look at the transits that's happening now, like with what's going on with the natal chart. Now, when I'm interested in things that's going on with me personally, I'll look back and say, oh, that's what was going on. That's what was happening with me at that time. Like I was just saying, I looked back historically, well, with me, to see what happened to me in my life when Saturn and North Node were conjunct, when they crossed paths, which they do every 10 to 12 years. And it was really fascinating. It was really fascinating. And so I was like, okay, all right. So I have something to look forward to in April of 2025, because that is the next time North Node and Saturn cross paths and are conjunct again. I know. So major things happen to me, and usually it represented a move of some kind, like a physical move. I kind of like it though. It's something to look forward to. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make some plans here. Got lipstick on my teeth the whole time. Okay, I don't see it. So, who has questions? Is there something going on that you have questions about? There's several people that just drop in and watch and they don't make comments, and that's okay. They email me after the fact and they say, hey, I would like a copy of this, which it takes me weeks sometimes to type up things to send out. I will get them out. It takes me a while. Because y'all don't want to see my notes. It's confusing and scattered, and it's like an ADHD nightmare. So you don't want to see my notes. I need to type it up properly for you. But if you have questions about stuff, if you email me at metaphysicalroundtable@gmail.com, I will get back to you. It may take me a couple of days, but I will get back to you and tell you, like, this is what's going on, or this is the answer, or whatever. Because there are people that watch the show that don't want to log in. They don't want to be seen watching, and I get that 100%. I mean, there are people, and this is what I love about YouTube, is that you can block people on YouTube, and they think they're commenting, and they're just typing their little fingers off, but you never see their comments. Is that petty? I think it's hilarious, to be honest with you. So, yeah. So that's that. So if you don't want to comment, but you have some questions, please email me at metaphysicalroundtable@gmail.com, and I will get back to you. I don't have anything formally typed up for this. If you want something, I can try to type it up, but I'm still trying to type up the candle stuff, the candle magic stuff from a few weeks ago. Yeah, I know, I'm that behind. But I'm catching up. Doing good. My kids are back in school for a whole day. I mean, that's a wonderful thing. Because last week they were out for half days every day, and that was like, I was like, oh my, is this real? Yeah, it was fun. Okay, any questions now? Astro.com and Cafe Astrology. Go print those charts, print them in color if you can, because the red and the blue lines mean different things. So print them in color if you can. If you can't, I get that too. But Cafe Astrology has a lot of information. Like, you'll print something that's like this thick, and it's wonderful, wonderful information. But I don't really like their charts. I like the details. I like the details of the Cafe Astrology. I mean, of Astro.com, because this is a lot of. It doesn't look like it, but this is a lot of information. Oh my gosh, you're so welcome. Did you like it? That was a forgiveness class that I taught, Kelsey. And I got to tell you, there's a lot of people that just haven't, it's hard to let go, like how to let go. And it's really, really hard when it's fresh. So talking about forgiveness it's been a struggle for me, because I will remember that shit for 25 years. I told y'all about the comment that my grandmother's friend made to me in the 90s, in the mid 90s, and I still have a hard time letting that go. We can talk about the forgiveness thing on here, because I struggle with that. It's getting easier for me to let go, but forgiveness is a challenge for me sometimes. But there's stuff that just sticks with you, and you have to just, yeah. I did take some time, and I went back through, I worked through forgiveness all the way back to elementary school. That was intense. I don't want to do that again. That was a lot of energy. But I will say, there's a lot of people that I need to forgive and let go now. How about myself for spitting water all over me? But what am I? Not sorry. I'm clumsy and I just spit water all over myself. Oh my gosh. I mean, I've got David Cassidy hair, my eyelashes wanting to come off, and I spit water all over myself. But it's okay, because, yeah. The more tragic thing is that I got water on my calendar. That's tragic. Yeah. Okay, well, if you guys don't have any questions for me, now, you can always hit me up. I will answer as much as I know, as much as I've studied. I have only been studying astrology since like 2017, and I really started seriously studying it in like 2019. I started really taking classes, and during the pandemic, I took classes, and really I haven't stopped. I love everybody's different take on some of the things in astrology. Some are just concrete and unbendable, but there's a lot of nuances in astrology that I love. I never ever would have thought that I would love astrology as much as I do, but I have fallen in love with it. And here's some of my literature. Okay, so this is some of the stuff from my classes. I put it together, and then I put tabs in it so that I knew which one was from which class. It's really good. This is a fantastic book. It's an old one, The Astrologer's Handbook. This person who wrote Planets in Love, Planets in Aspect, and Planets in Youth is fantastic. So anytime you find one books that look like this, Planets in Aspect, Planets in Love, Planets in Youth, I highly recommend. They're fantastic. They are some older books, so a little wordy. If you're looking for something that's a little less wordy, I have two different versions of this because I love this book so much. It's The Only Astrology Book You'll Ever Need by Joanne Martine Woolfolk. This is fantastic. This is an amazing book. This is the same book, but it's two different prints. It's two different, it's just 2 different years. They are fantastic. I love them. This is amazing. It really is. And it helps iron out some of the questions that I had before I started taking all these classes where I could actually ask my teachers, what does this mean? What does this mean? How is this, what is this about? It's fantastic information. You can find these used. You don't have to, you can still do your own chart without, the worksheets in the back. You can figure that out, to be honest with you. I don't have any for sale right now. I sold them. Sorry. So I didn't even have a chance to put them on my website because I sold them on Amazon before I put them on my website. Trying to think of anything else. The other thing that's always helps me, again, is a good astrology calendar, an astrology calendar that you can understand and that you can work with, that shows you the daily transits, that shows you how things are moving. That's what you want. The other thing is I love astro.com because I can look up everybody's charts and I can store them. Now, I pay to have the storage on there, but I also go to, and hang on 2 seconds and I'll look at this. There is one other site that I use. It is astrologyland.com, so that I can see what the future ones are. So I have Astrologyland is where I go when I'm trying to look at the astrology for the next new moon or the next full moon or the next month when I'm doing the zodiac readings and the numerology. That's where I go to look at it and see what's going on and to see how everybody's playing. Do you see what I'm saying? Well, I have the calendars on. No, I won't. My distributor has moved, so I'm now ordering them and I have to have them shipped, but I am getting them straight from Llewellyn. And I don't know, because this time I'm ordering them straight from Llewellyn. I don't know if they're going to be here in time for me to put them on my website and ship them out. Because right now would be the best time to ship them out because people are already looking at January. So it was a weird thing. But if you can go on to Llewellyn's website and order them directly from Llewellyn. You can also get them, and Llewellyn has a lot of different calendars to choose from if you choose to go with Llewellyn. And you can also buy lots of astrology calendars on Amazon or a local bookstore. I know here I go to Phoenix and Dragon and buy them. I mean, if I'm in a pinch and I don't have time to wait for the shipment, I'll go to Phoenix and Dragon and order them. Purchase them. But Phoenix and Dragon usually has a lot of great stuff. And there's some other there's some other bookstores around Atlanta too, but you know, there's Eclipse over Roswell, and I don't know what their stock looks like, but there's some good stuff at Phoenix and Dragon. But you can order this at llewellyn.com, and of course on Amazon. So maybe next year I'll have them in early enough that I can sell them, because you really want to sell like the astrology calendars for the next year by, like, most people want to buy them by October because they're already looking at January and February. What else was I going to say? Do you guys have any other questions before I tune out? You guys have been great as always. And don't forget to please send out some really good vibes and wishes for Carrie, the beautiful witch. And I appreciate her so much for letting me stream to Facebook, so to her Facebook page. So please send out some good vibes and some good energy, because she is moving. And it was a very quick, unexpected move for her and her family. So please send that out. We have a couple of people that are in the chat that I've got candles lit for. So, you know, if you don't want to put your stuff in the chat so that everybody can see it, you can email me at metaphysicalroundtable@gmail.com, and I will get you on a list for good vibrations as well. And if you guys want to talk about like forgiveness, because I sent Kelsey some exercises on forgiveness, I'm more than willing to talk about that here. If you want to talk more about astrology and see how I dissected the houses myself, we can talk about that on here as well. So let me know if there's something you guys want to talk about on here. I am open to suggestions. Thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. I appreciate y'all so much. And oh my gosh, thank y'all so much for watching Readings at the Round Table, because I finally hit over 1,000 subscribers and I got monetized. So I know, just a year later. Okay, if I do reach out to you, if I'm trying to reach out to you on, most of them are on YouTube, or if I email you and say, hey, you're a winner, I'm giving people like really about 3 to 4 days. And if you don't respond to me, I'm moving on to the next person. It is not a scam. I'm just trying to mail out stuff that the people won for the giveaway, the anniversary giveaway. So, and if you get a package for me and you find a fingernail, please don't be grossed out. I'm so sorry. I was wrapping up packages and one of my fingernails fell out, and I'm so humiliated and embarrassed. I'm sorry. That is something I'm truly sorry about. If you find that, please don't be grossed out. It's just a fake fingernail off of me, but it's in a package out there somewhere, or it's in this room, or the dog ate it. I don't know. I mean, it could have happened, but I mean, Mouse could have knocked it down, and I'll probably find it like in 2 months. So it's just never know. It's crazy, and it's just fun being me, right? Thank you guys so much. I hope you enjoyed this, and let me know what y'all want to talk about. But until we see each other again, get out there and make your magic. Bye.